Welcome to Taking Over this week, as opposed to the old show that we don't do anymore. I am Ed Fry's Ol'Ed. I am joined by the one and only my tag team partner, the natural Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, we got all kinds of things to talk about. We got a women's title tournament. We've got missing NXT tag team championships on the women's side. We've got a main event storyline playing out for BATTLEGROUNDS. The BATTLEGROUNDS lines are being drawn. And I still only know 2 matches for the show.
Told you.
I think I know a third. And sadly, I think I know a fourth. And not happy about that. But what did you think of the show tonight?
It was pretty good, actually. I feel like I liked the pacing tonight. It was not bad.
Yeah, they had a pretty good pace tonight. The things happened. NX taking over.
No. He's gonna start saying that too.
NXT. Yes, thank you for joining us, Parrish. Thank you for joining us, Mark. Yeah, I agree. It was a fun show, and it started out slow, but then it got going quick. So we start with the Indy Hartwell video package, replaying what happened last week, to have all the ladies in the tournament standing in a row, which I hate. I hate that. They're all fighting for something. They all don't want to be friends, but we're going to stand them all in a line and make sure they all behave themselves.
I just want to turn over and go, psh, out.
Fallon and Kiana can't be within 2 feet of each other without trying to hurt each other, but they're standing in a row. Cora Jade hates Roxanne Perez, but we have no issues. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane have a blood feud dealing with Gigi's brother. Nope, they're fine. Everybody just standing around, doing what they're told.
The funny thing is, like, visually it looks fine, but then if you think about it from the storylines, like, intercepting each other, you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
Right? It's just silly. It's just plain silly. And then we get Tiffany versus Gigi to open the show. And I was disappointed. I wasn't disappointed in the match. The girls did well. But considering half the things we're going to talk about on this show, I feel like they could have had 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have done all 4 matches tonight in the first round, and then done 2 of the other 2 semifinals matches next week, and then have like a showdown on the last week going into the pay-per-view. Because now we're going to have 2 this week, 2 next week. That'll finish the first round. We'll have 1 week before the show where we have to have both of the final matches to get us to our 2 competitors for the pay-per-view. You timed this match at about 5 minutes, correct?
5 minutes of action. No, not counting entrance. Yeah, no entrances and no video packages or whatever you want to call them beforehand. So
yeah. What do you think? Is that adequate time for these 2 women who are in a championship tournament to have enough time to do what they need to do?
I feel like the match itself wasn't bad, though. I just felt like just when I was enjoying the pacing of it, it was done. Like, it was that quickly. And that's what it made me think about it. I went back to the stream that I had, and I went back and I hovered over to around the time when the bell rang and it started. And it was 4 something. I think it was almost 5 if I'm not mistaken. And going back to like the timing, I was like, shoot, that was only 5 minutes. Like, what the heck? But I was enjoying it. The girls had a great back and forth in here. And it's like, I loved also Tiffany going like more and be more heel in her in ring action here, because she was focusing on Gigi's shoulder, her arm through the whole match. There was only one part that I wasn't sure if they missed or not, because I know there was some kind of Tiffany did like a little roll through, so I don't know if Gigi was supposed to roll her up, but she didn't. She just got up and kept going, so that looked kind of awkward at first. But other than that, I know there was a point that Gigi did like such a unique pin. It looked so nicely, but I was like, yeah, she's definitely gonna kick out of that. And then having Tiffany do like the little matrix kind of counter the with Trish just was really nicely done as well. Yeah, I felt like the match itself was good. I just wanted more from it.
Yeah, it was a bit there and done. Nothing felt great. Nothing felt terrible. It just sort of happened. Apparently, either earlier today or last night, as shown to me by yourself, We have this as part of an Instagram post from Gigi Dolan, which just has the words, "I miss being PK." For those who don't know, that means I miss being Priscilla Kelly. That's not a good sign.
No. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, for anybody who, as we've seen with the dyad, once you start talking about missing your old personas and asking for your release, and considering she's the one being pushed, they've put effort into her. It seems interesting that they would have, she would be tweeting out something like that. We have Mark jumping in. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think she might have deleted it because at least the one that person posted it was at 10:04, and I just went to her Instagram. It's not there anymore.
All right, so it may have been deleted afterwards.
Yeah.
She certainly doesn't miss Parrish's kindness, that's for sure. Mark says, it might just be the booking, but I'm lost on Gigi. She does something great, then loses and just loses all momentum. See, here's the thing. I wouldn't have had her or JC Jane in this tournament for the sole fact is they're in the middle of a blood feud, and it seems silly that they're either not costing each other or that they both have to win. Like, it needed to be one or the other, and just having her lose clean made no sense. If they would have at least had JC come in and disrupt it, and then have Gigi repay the favor next week, at least that way we're continuing the storyline, and it doesn't feel like everything's falling apart. What do you think about the Gigi, JC, everything that's happened since Toxic Attraction fell apart in, what was it, December?
Yeah, little by little in December. No, just I feel like this would have been a great timing for them to get called up as a tag team. And I'm like, we have so many women's tag teams on the main roster. I feel like they would have done well in there. So that's the only part that's bittersweet about this. Like you said, I just keep thinking like they need to have one more match. Has to be some kind of stipulation match at Battleground just to end it there. And I feel like this doesn't make sense because as I was thinking with you, I was thinking who's gonna cost who the match? Is it gonna be Gigi with JC, JC with Gigi, or is it gonna be Cora with Lyra? It's bound to happen with one of them
Or
at least.
Kiana or Fallon.
Yeah, I'm like it's bound to happen with one of those matches at least. I don't see like the storylines not intercepting themselves in that aspect, but yeah, just I would have put them in here because I feel like you should have just announced a match between both of them one on one already. Just get it out of the way.
I think they wanted to have Roxanne versus Tiffany, so they had to have two other people, and they knew that they couldn't put somebody like Lash Legend in. They knew they couldn't put somebody like Ivy Nile in. They couldn't put somebody like Ava Rain in. And then when you get past that, you really don't have anybody. Like, not credible. I mean, you have Valentina Feroz, but nobody believes she's going to win any of those matches. If it was still Legado del Fantasma, you might believe Elektra Lopez could win, but you sure as hell don't now.
Yeah.
Like, am I right or am I wrong? Like, do you think that if Elektra Lopez were in this tournament, in any of these matches, that she would have won?
No, definitely not.
You could have just done a 4-person tournament and started it next week. If what you wanted to do was just have those 4 in there, which is seemingly what's going to happen. Yeah. We have our good friend Bobby Munson joining in. Hello, Bobby! And Bobby, Astrid, and I believe Mel, correct, have a show coming out tomorrow on the YouTubes at noontime?
I don't know what time.
keep an eye on the YouTubes for that. I'm sure that Bobby will tell me in just a moment what time that show goes live.
It's either noon or 2 p.m.
It's 1 p.m. You were wrong. It is 1 p.m. Twitch and YouTube. We do have Mark saying that he loves Tiffany winning and she's the future of NXT, but it's just weird with what's going on with Gigi. I agree. Tiffany was the obvious winner here. I saw the graphics. I'm like, okay, cool. I know the Final 4, and for the most part, I know essentially who's not winning of the Final 4, who's not going on. Like, it's Cora and somebody. Like, every permutation of this has Cora versus somebody.
Yeah.
Paris saying, even I know that is 1 o'clock.
Wow.
You do help run the network, so I'd hope you'd know. With that being said, we're going to move on.
Too early for that.
We're going to move on. Oh, Astrid's got the punch tonight. Move on to Gallus versus Dyad, the setup with both people walking in the back. Joe Gacy says he's not going to be coming out there with them because his attention is going to be made elsewhere. And this is all thanks to Ava Rain's message last week, which was to make sure that while he sacrifices for the Dyad, to not forget about getting something for himself. And we'll talk about later what that means. It is just Red Bull in a cup. Let's not fool ourselves.
It's water.
Sure it is. We have Mark saying, boo, Gallus. We'll get some more Gallus later. We have our friend Dara Amazing jumping in and saying, hey, hey. Hello, Dara. We have our other friend Bobby Munson, Bobby Monkeys, Barry Monkeys coming in. The message from Bobby is right above it. I'm sorry. What is that boring Wrestle Talk finish in the Eurovision semifinal? Eurovision. That's the song and dance competition, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure it wasn't soccer. I'm like, I don't know which one this is. Bobby Money Monkey. Anyways, before I get too distracted. We also, after we get that scene with Joe Gacy, when we come back from the break, we have the Creeds with their Blue Man Group masks on, pretending to be the Dyad, and Ivy Nile grabs them by the nose of the mask, which I don't think touches their actual nose, but they react like it does, telling them to stop screwing around and pay attention. And as soon as I saw her, it made me very sad because I knew that they were going to continue the shit storyline from last week that popped up out of nowhere and has continued out of nowhere, and I still don't understand why it's happening. Talk to us, Astrid, about the Gallus boys staying on top as they defeat the Dyad.
I just want to say I posted it on Twitter. Just every time I see their gear, it just reminds me of Blue's Clues, which doesn't help me at all. I'm sorry. It really doesn't. Reminds you of Blue's Clues, like the shirt.
Oh, okay. It reminds you of Steve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know I aged myself with that one. Sorry.
I'm like, what in the Blue's Clues is a Blue's Clue? I'm like, oh, wait, Blue's Clues.
That one. No, one thing I've enjoyed more than anything from them right now is just like I feel like they finish. I want to put finish for the moment because I don't know if it'll get revisited with one tag team and somebody else comes out like right away in the corner like we're here. I'm just they're not gonna really be done, are they? But I like how they've been so dominant since they have become champions the way they have been, and I think this match really showed it too.
I like how the tag team division feels like all the teams are kind of in the mix. None of them ever feel out of the mix. And the way Gallus does their storytelling in the ring and outside the ring with, hey, we'll fight everybody, it makes sense that nobody's really out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like that idea that they can just take on people and they can have these matches with everybody. And they can have another match with, we have the family up in the Eagle's Nest during this match. And we have the Creeds we know looking on backstage. And we had the Dyad in the ring with them tonight. It's like, there's 4 teams that we can continuously just mix around and have good matches. And it doesn't matter if it's triple threat, fatal 4-way, one-on-one. All of these matches work, and we've seen most of them in a variety of different ways. And I'm not tired of any of it yet.
Yep.
So I think that's a good idea for right now to keep all of these plates spinning and not have to decisively pick a direction and have a storyline. Their storyline can be, we like to fight, who's next in line? Oh, you want a shot? Okay, cool. Oh, you want to add them? Okay, cool. We'll do that too. Like, they just keep going. Dara's right. Yeah, let's hope Roddy Strong returns. Oh, wait. Yeah. No more Roderick Strong. He's decided to join the mostly disputed era over in AEW. Might as well call them the mostly disputed era because they've stolen everything else from NXT that they did that was interesting. Their theme music, Adam Cole's music, their gear, everything else is pretty much stolen from all the NXT designs. You might as well steal the name too. I don't even know what their name is in there. I think it's just the era. It's probably something crappy like that. You can tell I don't watch AEW. I just watch the stuff online.
Yeah.
This is a good match. The Dyad gets the advantage when Ava Rain just gets on the apron. She doesn't do anything. She just sort of stands there and starts talking to people. And all of a sudden, the Dyad gets the advantage. Out of nowhere, out comes running Ivy Niles. She tackles Ava Rain. This gets everybody distracted except Gallus because Gallus understands they're in a wrestling match. And They get the 1, 2, 3, and they get the victory. Dallas Boys on top. We have Dar Amazing jumping in. I heard Gallus is going to Canada to fight Chris Parrish in a mystery partner. I don't think so. That'd be funny though.
We got some news for you.
I am not making a trip to Canada, so if they're fighting Parrish in a mystery partner, it's probably either Son of Irish or Bobby Munson. One of the two of them.
Yeah.
It sure as hell isn't me. They might fight me in Lowell because I'm close enough to the ring that they might just fight me, but that's not going to happen until at least Lowell. We get a Chase U segment backstage where random girls in Chase U stuff are talking to Thea Hale. To which my mother goes, "Where the hell did they get this crackpot?" As she's running her mouth. And I'm just like, even my mother understands that Thea Hale is awful.
No, Mama Fries, no.
Yes, Mama Fries. She has it right. Thea Hale is awful. Mark has decided that he's going to fight them. As he has a knock on the door. But Big Body Javi comes in and starts talking about, Duke taking over and how it's just, it's kind of funny how Andre goes away and all of a sudden Duke's like, I can do it all. And speak of the devil and who shall appear, but Duke Hudson walks in. And Javi begins to tell him, like everybody else, so Duke, I like this long con game that you're running here. It's really great. And then it's great because Duke does this so brilliantly, like he didn't mean to do it, and then he caught himself and he didn't mean to do it, but he totally meant to do it. Where he goes, no, here at Chase University. And you can see Tia looking at her shirt like... I think there's going to be a place in Kentucky that's going to have an issue with Duke U. It was time for the big body segment of the week. It was great until Javi got beat by Duke Hudson. My notes for the match is the entirety of my notes. The entirety of it are Javi gets beat by Duke. So, there was nothing. Javi was entertaining. Duke was fine in the ring. I missed the Javier Bernal we saw a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago against Eddie Thorpe that was like serious and had a chance to win a match and was doing really good. I want to know where that Javier Bernal went because he was fun.
Yeah, I thought that was what we were going to get. And then my notes are literally Javier versus Duke. Duke wins.
Like, it's sad. Like, it's our big body segment of the week, of course, because, our man Javier Bernal comes on. And I'm hoping that sometime soon we can hopefully get him on there, as he, had mentioned that he potentially wants to do that. So I'm hoping we can get him on here one of these weeks. But he's so talented. But he's obviously an enhancement talent. We kind of just got to go ahead and play with it. Sometimes. Sometimes she thinks that I'm watching clay fighting again. We've watched it most of my life. My father watched it when I was growing up. My grandmother watched it as well. So it's something she's come to watch throughout most of her adult life. So it's not entirely unusual that we watch wrestling on wrestling nights. But no, she's not thrilled that I have to watch it as much as I do. She's not thrilled that there's a schedule for it. We have another great segment between Mr. Stone and Von Wagner, the free agent Von Wagner.
Well, I was gonna say don't skip over the parking lots. You did that last week. I know it's dangerous and all, but
I honestly don't even have anything about the parking lot. I literally have.
I know you missed it last week. Last week they had like a recap from it almost seems like a bunch of tweets on the set, but a recap of the parking lot attacks that we had. And when somebody paused at a certain time and there's a tweet from NXT Anonymous saying, "Oh, it must be Alexa Bliss. She's been gone from TV," or something like that, mentioning Alexa. And then today we get somebody with a hoodie on, literally on a TV, in a room watching the TV, all the parking lot attacks we had so far, as if they're probably going to get revealed soon. Just so we don't miss it.
Okay, I had that later in the show for some reason. I don't know why I didn't have that. I do have it later in the show. We have Von Wagner here, the free agent. We see the picture of the baby with the head and the deformity that was going on that we're supposed to extrapolate is Von Wagner. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. I would imagine they wouldn't do something like this to play it for fun. I'm going to assume that if they have this photo, I'm going to assume it's him or somebody he knows as opposed to just random picture of deformed headed baby. That notwithstanding, we have me and Astrid's favorite off the air person that we've noticed that we've started to enjoy watching on Twitter, Luca. Luca is a lawyer. I call him our lawyer friend because I can almost never remember his name, Luca. But he goes ahead and makes a pretty bad joke. I don't remember what the joke was, but the girl he was talking to didn't like it. Von Wagner sure as hell didn't like it because he grabbed him and pinned him against the stuff. Yeah. And then, thankfully, he let Luca go. And he just looks at Robert Stone and goes, pistachio, and walks away. Which he's right. If we're talking about great ice cream flavors, pistachio's at the very bottom. And as he said, cookie dough near the top. So, at least he's got that. Mark, going back to your point about who might be NXT Anonymous or in the hoodie, Blair Davenport, I agree. I think Blair Davenport, it's going to be somebody coming back. I have the money on somebody from NXT UK.
Yeah, same.
I was originally thinking Stevie Turner because all of a sudden we don't have no more streams from Stevie Turner. And the attacks happened, ironically.
Oh, wait, she got injured, I think it was. That's what it was, maybe.
Oh, did she get hurt?
I think so.
Yes. Luca did say, get ahead of yourself. Yes. Yeah. You know, it's not a great joke. It's in poor taste. I can very much see Road Dogg writing it, which is the sad part. I know exactly who in that room wrote it, and I know that Shawn Michaels, when he heard it, laughed at it. Because I grew up watching Shawn Michaels, and that's the exact joke that DX and Shawn Michaels would have made 30 years ago. God, DX has been around for almost 30 years. Oh, I've been watching wrestling too fucking long.
Which is how long I've been alive. I feel like that helps you anymore.
All right, and Astrid's off the show, and I'm looking for a new co-host. Just kidding. We have Gallus backstage, and they run into the Creeds, and they tell Ivy Nile to stay out of their way, to which, for some reason, the Creeds act like this is something hard to understand. Like, I know they're Scottish, but they're not Nikki Cross. We can understand the words that come out of their mouths. Am I wrong? Like, Gallus isn't that hard to understand. They do a pretty damn good job for being Scottish and making themselves enunciated which words they're saying.
Ironically, you say that, and it's going to sound very funny coming from me. But when I do my NXT reviews, the person that's the hardest for me to write whatever they're saying is Isla Dawn. So I
agree. Isla Dawn has an issue. Her Scottish accent is very, very thick, and she doesn't do the greatest. And she doesn't do the greatest job pushing through it. Mm-hmm. Gallus, on the other hand, also Scottish, they do pretty well with their promos. I don't often have a problem understanding what they say.
Yeah, with Isla, I gotta go on YouTube and put my captions on, and even like slow it down a few times just to make sure I got it correctly.
But you know, when you get lunkheads like the Creeds, who are more looks than brains, you know, it is what it is. Oh, come on, like they're geniuses.
No.
There's only one reason you follow Julius's Twitter, and it's sure as hell not for his insightful tweets.
I don't follow his Twitter.
Then how do I get a picture from his Twitter once a week?
It's the Twitter algorithm. You get stuff from people you don't follow now.
Right.
Now you haven't been on Twitter enough.
Yeah, but this was 6 months ago.
Yeah, never followed him.
We have Eddie Thorpe versus Damon Kemp coming out. I really like this. Okay, Barry has an issue, you know, talking about people who have an issue. Bianca Belair. I've often had an issue with Bianca Belair. It's not so much her accent as it is her cadence for me. She talks at a very interesting rate, and sometimes I lose a word or two. But I think everybody has a few of those people in the wrestling business, especially when it comes to an accent or a cadence that makes it tough. Some people speak too quickly. Some people speak too loudly. Some people... No, you don't speak too quickly.
Sometimes.
Anyways. Eddie Thorpe versus Damon Kemp. Or as I called it, the Melball segment. She's
Yeah.
not here, but when she watches that back, she'll enjoy it. What did you think
Hold
of
on.
Eddie Thorpe
Let me get
defeating
her in
Damon Kemp?
here. Let
What
me
did you
get
think
her
of
in here.
what did you think of Eddie Thorpe versus Damon Kemp?
That's another one that I enjoyed too, but I feel like it was short. Like it felt kind of short in that match, but I enjoyed the action they had. I think like you after I went back and I looked at it, you made me think of the pinfall, and I can't unsee it afterwards either. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think this match was shorter than it was supposed to be because I think there was an oopsie. I think Damon Kemp oopsied his kick out because he looked generally frustrated with the referee post match, not angry like a heel supposed to be when he loses. He looked generally frustrated.
He went
Like he didn't understand why the match was over and the bell was ringing and Eddie Thorpe had won the match. He looked confused, which is never a good thing. Like I don't mind. I think Eddie Thorpe was always meant to win. And I think that's why the ref just went with it and counted the 3. But Damon Kemp makes no effort to kick out of this. So I think he didn't hear the count.
Yeah, and even with the video that I sent you when I went back to see it, there's that moment that Eddie has his arm like around Damon, his shoulder, and his shoulder isn't even entirely on the mat. So that's what made me think of like maybe the referee went like this and just kind of like, hey, the shoulder's not on the mat, let's keep going, kind of situation. But going back to it, it's like he has his arm around the shoulder like that, and he just looks at him like, kind of like, where am I, kind of thing. It just
Yeah.
it looked really confusing.
Yeah, it was weird. It was out of place. I don't hate the finish. I don't hate the match. I thought it made Eddie look great. I don't know if that's his finisher or not, that running elbow drop that he does. That's a weird thing. I thought he did some kind of fisherman, like swinging fisherman suplex as a finisher, but he apparently today it was the running elbow drop for the 1, 2, 3. We have Kiana James from accounting complaining about having the hardest draw in the entire tournament, to which I went, seriously? You have to beat the likes of... we have Melball. Melball, you just missed your segment, as I called it. We had Eddie Thorpe defeating Damon Kemp. Kiana talks about how hard her draw is in the tournament, and I go, wait, hard draw? All you have to do is beat Lyra Valkyria, and then either Fallon or Cora Jade. That's pretty easy considering the other side is JC Jane, Gigi Dolan, Tiffany Stratton, or the former NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez. I thought it was very interesting that that's what she thought. But she cuts an okay promo here. Going back to Eddie Thorpe, Mark says, am I missing something? But I don't get Eddie Thorpe, and I'm not buying what he's selling at the moment. He's still new. He's still trying to figure his way out in WWE. I think a lot of us are taking over what we've seen as Carl Fredericks from before, watching his New Japan Strong stuff, seeing him as a young lion. He's had a lot of entertaining stuff elsewhere, and we're excited to see what's going to happen here. I'm not entirely sold on the Native American DJ gimmick, but that seems to be things he's into. He is Native American. I like the idea that they're giving him something that he can naturally be, and I like what we're getting from him so far. We get what I thought was going to be match of the night between Ilya Dragunov and Dijak.
Nope.
And then the match ended in about 2 minutes when Dijak decided he was just going to get DQ'd. But that made me both very upset for tonight's show and very happy for Battlegrounds.
True.
Because I think I'm getting a street fight. Yeah, there's nothing to this match. Before the match starts, we get Bron being a dickhead, as I have in my notes. Bron talking about how the fans hate him and how if they want Mello, that's fine. He's going to go ahead and put Trick. He talks about how, Mackenzie seems like she's not impressed with what he says. And he's like, well, it's simple. You can just go ahead and not come back here and ask to talk to me if you don't like what I have to say. He's like, no, I got a better idea. I'll give you something. And that's when he vows to put Trick in the same hospital that he put Mello into. And I'm like, all right. Again, I like the fire and the ferocity of these promos. It gives him something. He's still talking nonsense, but at least now he feels like he has a purpose with his nonsense.
Some improvement at least. It's like we're not gonna get 200% right away, but it's more of an improvement that we had in like with the year that he was as champion, basically. So
Yeah. And as we're about the halfway point of the show, I do want to go ahead and give a shout out to one of the things, as we talked about earlier. Astrid and Bobby are going to be doing a mental health show tomorrow. It's, I forget what the name of the show
and Mel
is.
too.
And Mel. Yes, Mel will be part of it as well. It's Love Your Mental Health, if I remember correctly, correct?
Love Your Health is a mental health awareness special.
And we just want to go ahead and point out some numbers in the United States and some other places that you can go ahead and get help. And remember, these aren't just for people who are in bad times. If you're just having a little bit of trouble or you need somebody to talk to, go ahead and reach out to anybody. And if you don't have somebody that you can trust, that you can vent to, you can go ahead and talk to these wonderful people. They are trained professionals. We're going to throw up some numbers, and then we're going to go up and throw up the calendar. And we'll be back in about a minute and a half. We're back. Thank you for joining us those just a couple minutes. Remember to check out all the wonderful things. And speaking of the weekly calendar, one thing that's not on there, Wrestle Draft will unfortunately not be happening this Saturday, unfortunately, because due to scheduling conflicts. However, we're going to double up on your Wednesday Wrestle Draft. During the afternoon, you will have the YouTube upload of last week, which is weeks 2, 3, and 4 of the Wrestle Draft GM mode. And then tomorrow night, just after Dynamite, Chris Parrish and I are going live on the Twitch side and potentially the YouTube side, and we are going to go ahead and do Wrestle Draft, the first premium live event of our Wrestle Draft season, live for you guys tomorrow night. So go ahead and jump in, give us all kinds of comments, yell at us about how crappy our shows are. We'll yell at Parrish because his show will obviously be worse because I'm already winning. Spoilers. But we come out of the commercial break after Dijak beats up Ilya Dragunov and gets DQ'd. We come back from the break, and Tyler Bate is backstage, and he's in his zone, and Wes Lee comes walking in and says, "Man, I haven't seen this much smoke since I hung out with Riddle." I really thought he was going to say the Rascals here, and it was going to make me smile, but he didn't say the Rascals. He said Riddle, which made me sad. He goes ahead and has an entire conversation with Tyler Bate, but Tyler Bate's not paying attention because Tyler Bate is in a higher plane of existence. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. I apologize. But he was unable to hear Wesley, and Wesley decides that he's going to go out for him with his match because he was so excited with how much help Tyler Bate was last week against Drew Gulak when Charlie Dempsey tried to get involved. Again, nothing fantastic, just a generic promo. Now we get to Ed's least favorite part of the night. Random people on social media for absolutely no reason. I hate this. I hate this so much. I don't understand why wrestling programs need to do this.
You don't like Hank and Tank together?
No, I fucking hate Hank and Tank, but that's besides the point. Why does Danny Palmer need to cut a promo asking about how to get better like this? Hi, guys. Here's my phone. Hi, tell me, but don't let me look at my phone. I'm only going to see the back of my head, but, you know. Oh, my God. I hated the segment.
She was vlogging. Yeah, you against vloggers now? Come on.
I don't hate vlogging. I hate vlogging when you have a multi-billion-dollar camera standing right behind you filming you vlog. It's the Performance Center. 20 feet away is the entirety of the stuff for the entire company. There is no reason why you couldn't just simply get a cameraman. Hell, you could have probably had Danny Palmer film it, because that's about as involved in this promo as she was, because it didn't matter. Nobody gave her worthwhile advice.
No, I thought it was more about her, and then all of a sudden she's more like in the background. They keep calling him. I just kept thinking, wasn't the question the start of the thing? What happened?
Yeah. Getting back to our discussion about, because honestly, I don't care anymore talking about Hank and Tank, and I'm going to have to in a couple minutes. Getting back to some of our comments. We had Mark talking about the big strong boy. We had Dar Amazing saying Wes was trying to get higher with Tyler Bate. Dar Amazing, the Hank and Tank Express coming through. Also social media star Danny Palmer. No, because if she were a social media star, her face would have been in the photo. I've seen vloggers. I've watched, as much as I despise the man, I've seen how Logan Paul vlogs. And you want to know what? Logan Paul doesn't vlog anything with his face not in the goddamn frame. Also, Melball says, Mr. Mustache taking part? What the hell? So, it's supposed to be incense. Because it's Tyler Bate, and he's on this renewal, health, spirituality gimmick. But it looked like weed. It looked like weed smoke. And, of course, when you have Wesley in there as part of the Radicals, where they had a segment on Impact where they would literally just get high and film it, tell me I'm wrong. You've watched Impact as long as I have. Tell me those Treehouse segments weren't them just getting high and considering it entertainment.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason what happened with Riddle before.
I don't hate the word vlog. I just think if you're going to do it, make sure you do it properly. Selfie stick, good camera, be in shot, don't have your back to the camera, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, Wesley and Tyler might be teaming with Mary Joanna. You never know. We're getting off track slightly. Tyler Bate versus Dempsey. I did find an interesting thing out, and I'm going to thank Mark for this because it was posed as a question in the Call of Unity. Did you know who Charlie Dempsey's dad is?
Yeah, Rico.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no clue. I honestly told Mark that he was wrong until I was like, but let me look it up just to make sure.
He's the reason why he went back.
Yeah, no, I had no clue.
Oh my god.
Go ahead and talk about Charlie Dempsey and
I don't know how to continue after this.
All right, guys. Ashley does not continue. See you, bye. Just kidding.
I still cannot believe you didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Yep. I had absolutely zero clue that he was related to William Regal. It makes sense with his wrestling skill, but for some reason...
Yeah. But he doesn't... When I see him, I don't see Regal, if you know what I mean. Like, if you would have told me, like, if I didn't know you would have told me that, I wouldn't have believed it. There you go.
Astrid, thoughts on this match? I mean, I know Tyler Bate was in it, so you weren't paying too much attention to the whole match.
Excuse you.
I'm sure you can give me some thoughts.
No, it was good though. That's another one that I feel like the pacing of it was like, it was rolling and moving, and that's when we got Gacy standing next to Wes, giving whatever he was telling him, and then all of a sudden we get Gulak on the other side, kind of like all three of them arguing. And I love that part when like Tyler's about to dive and Wes just moves out of the way because he knows he's coming, but the other two don't know. So it definitely misses Wes on the way there. Yeah, I thought Gulak was gonna get more involved in the match in itself, but it was more like what last time when we had Tyler towards the ropes. That's when Gacy got involved too. So I was like, so we getting Gacy, Gulak, Wes Tyler, maybe.
Don't forget Dempsey.
But I don't want him in there though. That's why I didn't count him in.
Yeah, but he's going to be a part of it.
So just like it made me think of like, yeah, this is what we're getting for Battleground based on what's happening now.
No,
Uh,
I have a feeling this is going to be either before or after Battlegrounds.
yeah.
One of the
And
two.
then after this, the Gacy cheap shot. Then it's when that's when Dempsey wins the match itself. But yeah, this was another one. Yeah, I was mad too. Trust me, very upset.
I shrugged and went, okay, whatever.
Why?
The big strong boy. It's fine. He can eat a few losses. It's not that big a deal. He's nowhere near the world title picture right now. And apparently he's not going to be, because apparently he's in the North American title picture. I don't know if they would do back-to-back premium live events with Fatal 5-Ways for the North American Championship.
I feel like there's too many people who've won that title.
I mean, they could do another Fatal 5-Way. It would be fine. I just feel like that would just I just feel like that would be a shame. Like,
it's all 5-ways and ladder matches. That's it.
Yeah, like, you can do so much better NXT. Because, like, they're telling a compelling story. Like, you've got Wes Lee just being this champion who's just taking on all comers. And you've got this thing going on with he's working with Tyler Bate. And you've got this Gulak and Dempsey thing where both of them want to try to take advantage of him. That's all really cool. And then you got Joe Gacy finally deciding he wants a singles championship since he hasn't had one since Chance had one since Halloween Havoc last year, when he lost to Bron Breakker and decided that he was going to become a mentor for a tag team. Like, it's really cool that they're bringing all these guys in. That being said, it seems kind of redundant to do the same thing you did 2 months ago at WrestleMania again for Battlegrounds. Yeah. That being said, this match will be slightly less impressive because you've got slightly less impressive people, because you've got Gulak and Dempsey instead of people like JD McDonough and Ilya Dragunov and Dragon Lee. Like, you've taken some good parts out of this match and put in some substandard parts, which is why I think it's going to happen on TV. Barry Monkey saying, today's NXT was so horrible, I'd forgotten half of this had happened. It wasn't bad. It's just, it felt scatterbrained. Like, certain things that could have waited a week to happen happened all at once. And I have no idea what's going to happen next week. Speaking of things that are going to happen next week, we have Dragon Lee backstage talking about how he wants to fight Noam Dar because Noam Dar seems to keep involving himself in Dragon Lee's business. And then we get a video package letter that gets opened on the video package wall behind him, to which Noam Dar invites him onto the Supernova Sessions. For those of us that didn't watch NXT UK, apparently this is a talk show that Noam Dar used to do. So I'm going to assume it's like Ms. TV, but substantially worse. Because the only thing that Noam Dar does that's interesting is go, Foxy! And he can't do that no more because she's unfortunately left the company.
Yeah.
We get Briggs and Jensen making quick work of Hank and Tank. God, I hate Hank and Tank.
No, that wasn't bad though.
The match was fine because Briggs and Jensen basically controlled the whole thing. And they kicked Tank so hard, he literally had a tooth fall out of his mouth.
Yeah, that was, and the heart attack itself. I love the heart attack itself for the ending too. That was beautifully done.
Yeah, Briggs and Jensen are great. Briggs and Jensen have always been good, as long as they've not been in a 19-month-long storyline with Kiana James.
It seems like it's over now because we only got Fallon with them now.
Yeah, no, I have. Based on what happened in the match with Lyra Valkyria, I have a big feeling that that's not over just yet. Mark talks about it's not like Miss TV because Noam Dar goes off on people and it's really funny. Well, I'm hoping Noam Dar can do something interesting because nothing I've ever seen from him has been. Mark used to love watching the Supernova Sessions. Like I said, I liked NXT UK for a period of time, but it used to come and go and I used to watch it in spurts. Like, I didn't watch every week because it was hard to watch because it aired at like 3:00 in the afternoon on a Thursday. And then I would forget about it by the time I got home and had time to watch it. I'd forget it happened. We have a Bird Lady promo which I feel like 90% of this was recycled footage that we've already seen.
Yes.
Up
Yeah.
until the part where she goes, "There are 3 women standing in my way for the NXT Women's Championship." And I'm like, oh, they just added a minor voiceover at the end to talk about the title match.
Yeah, I could tell because the scenes that were like the Florida scenes that were definitely like the newer parts of it. But everything else definitely was old. It's like this is the one that they put leading up to her debut versus the other scenes are just like she looks like she has workout clothes and just you can tell she's in Florida because of the swamp looking ground that I've seen before. So I could tell. Um but yeah, just it was the same stuff all over again, just a little changes with the scenes and the wording here and there, but practically the same template. So
Yeah. And Mark's right. NXT UK did get hurt drastically because one of the best things about any UK wrestling show is the crowd. I'm not a fan as much of a sing-song as they are. I enjoy chanting at my wrestling show as opposed to singing. But the UK fans seem to enjoy a sing-song, especially when Drew McIntyre's there and he just lost his World Championship match and they decided to broadcast a live sing-song. I thought this was over, but they brought it back. Astrid, talk to us more about hard-hitting facts with Nathan Frazier.
I feel like this was better than the other one though. I don't know if it was me. Maybe the presentation was a little, I guess, different in a way, and it felt a little bit better. Um, I like that this part. I like how I thought about this, and he said it too. He's like NXT as a melting pot, and he starts naming the people that we have in NXT that are international. And I like how he goes, Chase U is in a country. When Chase U pops up, he goes, well, Batuk is from Australia, so I guess that's how it goes. And I just wasn't sure why he would like pinpoint Noam Dar when we already have something going Noam Dar in Dragon League. It was like I don't want him involved in this too. I already don't like Noam Dar, so I don't want to keep watching this. But he just said like he created a spot for himself, and that the show that we were mentioning is when he has his first W appearance, which is on January 7th. And he's like, "Oh, this is the kind of place for me to expose his lies, and that his entire world is gonna come crashing down." It's like, why? I guess because of the cup. But aside from that, I don't want to see this. Sorry, Nathan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. He's entertaining enough, but I see enough bad American TV that I don't need people making a mockery of bad American TV and doing it worse. You can see this is the point in my notes where I really got bored because for the next match I have 2 words: Lyra wins.
Amazing.
In my defense, this is when I was making the thumbnail for the show.
I can see your concentration was on the thumbnail. If you haven't seen it, then you'll realize why.
Astrid, go ahead and tell me about Lyra Valkyria versus Kiana James.
This to me was the match that should have had as much time as it did. I would have done the opposite of Gigi and Tiffany. We almost got a lot of like back and forth reversals. And a lot of pinfall exchanges. That was all like we just want to end this. It just pinfall over there, pinfall over there. But we had just.
You didn't like the 5 minutes of pinfall rolls that they were doing for 3.5 minutes? The best part was when Lyra was trying to do one, and she just decided to, as lightly as she could, lean onto the kneecaps of Kiana James to make sure that Kiana James could reverse it.
Yeah, no,
that wasn't good.
The only part that I liked about it was more like Kiana having that heel work, just like Tiffany did, and focusing on Lyra's ribs. But aside from that, just like the ending itself, nothing major. Lyra wins, nothing new there either. But I definitely would have taken out minutes from this match and given it to the opener instead. So
I don't know if this is an endorsement of Lyra Valkyria or something to talk about how much we have to talk about how much of a problem she is. But Mark talks wrestling, and I agree with this statement. That was the best Lyra Valkyria match in NXT. And it's better than the match that she had with Cora Jade. Both of those are true statements, and both of those make me very, very nervous. She's supposed to be the veteran in this match. Barry's also correct. Kiana James is really improving. I could not stop thinking about how well Kiana James did in this match. She looked so good in this match, to the point where I made a joke with Parrish, because I was talking to Parrish about the thumbnail during this match, and I said, it's funny, I'm watching this match, and Lyra Valkyria makes me wonder, is she greener than Kiana James? Which is ironic, because of the fact that I'm not only talking about the fact that Kiana's in green, but that she's supposed to be the one who's been in less time than Valkyria, because Valkyria's supposedly been wrestling longer. But God, it doesn't feel like it when you watch her work.
No, definitely not. And another thing, like I know, like I mentioned it to you, but I know that we just got out of, well, technically for now, we got out of the storyline with, Briggs and Jensen. But the fact that they kept bringing up that she's single, it was like, can you guys focus on what's going in front of you, please? We get it. I'm like, you can say the first minute or so of the match, oh, she's single. Got it. Sure. We know because we've been watching the storyline for more than a year at this point, so we know she's single right now. You don't need to keep pointing it out every single time in the match, just if they had nothing else to talk about. It's like,
Yeah.
I know the match wasn't great, but just why? You couldn't talk about anything else. No,
Yeah,
apparently not.
it was a bit weird that Booker T decided to scream it out 3 times at one point in a row. She's single, she's single, she's singles, man. And I'm like, that's not the look I want for my thing, but, whatever. We have Mark jumping in again saying, Kiana James is a surprise package for me. I don't expect a lot, but she always does better than... Agreed. And that's the thing with this young crop of NXT women. And I think this is our best chance to talk about the women because this is our final women's segment of the night. Their women's division got raided. Like, disastrously raided during the draft. Not as bad as I thought it was going to, but pretty bad. They took 2 people who I thought were going to be able to help keep this division in line, and they left 2 people that I hoped that they were going to take up because I thought that those 2 people could learn more by being on the main roster than being on NXT. The Not So Veiled talk about, I think that Roxanne and Cora Jade both should have been called up, and I think that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn should have been kept in NXT. I think Alba and Isla less so. She's less of a veteran that Alba is. But Alba could be that dominant in-ring veteran. Because right now we don't have that in-ring veteran on the women's side. The biggest thing we have for an in-ring veteran on the women's side is Roxanne Perez. She's 25 years old. She's been wrestling for 5 years, I think. 4 or 5. She's been training since she was 17. It's not a disaster, but they need to get somebody in this division. They need to get somebody in there soon. Whether it be a Blair Davenport, whether it be, I don't know if he's going to be able to help, but maybe Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, baby. Yes, I agree. Bad Bunny was fantastic over the weekend. Thank you for joining us, HPC Bad Guys. I think it's another one of the names from that HPC sports group that we love so much. Thank you for joining us. I greatly appreciate it. They need somebody in there to help kind of round out this division and be that veteran presence. I wish it were Natalya, but apparently Natalya is going to be working with Rhea Ripley, which is not going to go well for her. I mean, Miko Satomura doesn't wrestle anymore, so it's not Miko. Like, it would be Miko, but Miko doesn't wrestle on a weekend basis. Yeah, I guess from an in-ring perspective, I guess she would work, but God, from a PR perspective, that would be bad.
No comment.
Alexa Bliss would be nice, but it sounds like she's coming back to Raw, as apparently she's been randomly added to the Raw roster after the draft.
She was in the graphic.
Yeah. Mark Touch Wrestling. Kaylee Ray is needed on the main roster because of her experience. It will help Isla a lot more on the road. I agree. I agree that Isla Dawn and Kaylee Ray deserve the call-up. I'm just saying that I would have left them in there another year to have really developed the rest of the women in this division and to be that guiding light for them.
That foundation.
Because right now we're missing. We're missing. The one thing NXT's always had is that definitive veteran who can help lead the matches. And we don't have that right now. And with all of these young, inexperienced women who are great and who are learning and are getting better week in and week out. We need something. Hopefully Blair Davenport comes back soon. Even if Stevie Turner can't be in the ring, get her back here so at least we can have her on screen. Yeah. Barry, if as far as the Lacey Evans stuff, look up Lacey Evans and autism. That should tell you all you need to know. It's not new, but there's a reason why she's not. There's a reason why she's not on WWE TV. We'll put it that way. Gallus is drinking in the bar. Fallon, and I guarantee you this is Fallon's bar. It's the exact same place. And yes, the source of Tom Colohue is being reported as Mark here. Alex was added by the USA Network and not WWE.
No, that's Tom Colohue. That's what it would be right there.
Mr. Colohue did say that, but she is at least having her on the graphic means that USA Network at least assumes that she's going to be on their brand. Whether or not, but what it definitely means is that they're probably not bringing her to NXT. If even USA thinks that she might be on Raw, that means she's probably not coming to NXT one way or the other. Gallus is drinking in the bar. The family comes up. The family starts to get involved. They start to get a little rowdy. All the friends of the Gallus boys in the bar start getting up. They decide that discretion is the better part of valor, and they leave. Again, I wouldn't mind seeing this singles match. But again, how did we set up this match? The same we've set up the last 7 Gallus matches, which I like. You just randomly go ahead and go to the bar, and you get a tag team match made. Cool. Yeah, but she doesn't give the veteran presence that NXT needs. Yeah, she's she'd be name value to bring on the Florida loop, to bring to some of these bigger shows. But she's not the veteran presence that you need to help be that ring general. That's why I said a person like Natalya. Honestly, the best name I think that they could do right now, if it's not a Blair Davenport, I know she was drafted, but give me Tamina. Yeah. Tamina is greatly undervalued for her in-ring presence. I know we all like to make fun of there's nobody meaner than Tamina, and she's been here forever and never done anything. And all of these things are true. But you know what the one thing is? When the Tamina goes out there, she typically has a pretty damn decent wrestling match. You don't typically have a bad wrestling match with Tamina. It might be boring, but it's not bad. And honestly, I'd rather have good wrestling from Lyra Valkyria that's boring with Tamina than a match like she had a couple weeks ago that felt bad. But again, the future for this NXT Women's division is very high. But as of right now, there's a lot of promise and not a lot of product yet. And it's going to take a few more months for them to get that back to where they need to be. We have a recap of what's going to happen next week. We have the other 2 first-round matches, which is going to be JC Jane versus Roxanne Perez and Fallon Henley versus Cora Jade. These 2 matches are very easy to predict. I'm going to, with some certainty, predict Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez shockingly move on in the Women's Tag Team Tournament.
I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know if I don't want to say I feel bad that it's predictable, but
I've made a living out of saying predictable isn't bad. Guess what? In this instance, predictable is bad. Especially if you're not going to give them time. If you're not going to give them time to show off, there's no friggin' point. You could have announced 4 people and saved yourself some time and just had matches. If you're going to do this. Before we move on, we do want to go ahead and thank our sponsors of the show. Rogue Energy. You can go to rogueenergy.com and use the promo code OLEPODS to get 10% off your order. Also, if you don't want to go ahead and go to the website, you can scan that QR code just below Astrid. She's going to point to it right now. There it is. If you want to go ahead and know how good Rogue Energy is, you can go ahead and check our Backlash review show, our pay-per reviews, and you can see that I tried this can of Prime live on stream and told you that Rogue Energy is better, it gave me more energy, and I can say that now after having had a few days after the after the Prime. The Rogue gave me more energy and tasted a bit better than the Prime did. So go ahead and go to rogueenergy.com and use the promo code OLEPods to get 10% off your order. It'll be great. And then we have the main event, correct? I'm not missing anything?
No. That's it.
We had Bron Breakker versus Trick Williams. This is Trick Williams' best match. That being said, I can't remember the last time Trick Williams had a match.
I was thinking that too. I don't remember either.
I don't remember the last time Trick Williams had a singles match. So it's hard to say that, there have been much better matches than that. Mm-hmm. But yes, Trick had a pretty good match. As Mark says, don't forget, if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, to subscribe or follow to get notifications when our shows go live. Yes, you get notifications most of the time. Unless you're me or Astrid and you don't get notifications for the Marvel Talk episode that went live on Sunday. Thankfully, I was on the show, so I knew when it went live. Parrish also says, if you give the video a thumbs up, it'll help more than you know. It is greatly appreciated, all the thumbs up. And leave a comment. Tell us what you think of the show. Tell us what you think of us. If there's anything we can improve. Barry Monkey says, a Trick looked bigger. A little bit more bulked up. I agree. Trick did look a little bit bigger. It's been a while since we've seen Trick in wrestling gear. So it's harder to tell what Trick looks like. That being said, Trick looked really good in this match, too.
Yeah.
Credit to Bron Breakker. Like, we give Bron Breakker a lot of shit on this show. As we should. As everybody should. Because Bron Breakker isn't that great. But he did a really good job helping Trick through this. He sold for Trick when he needed to. He absolutely demolished Trick when he needed to. Trick selling is pretty good. Trick has potential. Trick is better than Omos.
Yes, for sure.
That's not saying much, but he's better than Omos. I'll widely go out and say this. Of all the NXT big men that we have currently or that just got called up either being a free agent or onto a brand, the only person that's big like Trick that got called up or is in NXT currently that's better than him is Dijak.
Yeah.
So I'm saying people like Vaughn aren't better than him. People like Zion aren't really better than him. People like Duke Hudson aren't really better than Trick. People like Odyssey Jones aren't better than Trick. Okay, I forgot one. Obafemi. Obafemi's really good.
Yeah.
We've only seen him once, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I saw Mark's comment. I'm looking forward to seeing Ed's face after Battleground when Bron destroys the hometown boy. I am going to Battleground. Yes. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. I've thought about it since that WWE doesn't have a good track record with people in their
hometowns. Yeah.
Yeah.
A home state, to put it like that.
Yeah. I don't think they're taking the title off of Mello, though. I think it's way too early to do that. I think it's it's a foregone conclusion in my mind that Bron Breakker is just a linchpin to a longer story that they want to get somebody set for. What did you think of the match here with Bron Breakker, as I throw up Barry's comment about thinking that Bron struggled?
One thing that I enjoyed more than anything was even like Bron being a heel in this match in itself, which is something that I feel like I don't want to say I see often, but this is one of the times that I really highlighted for me. Like he was mocking Trick when he did the push-ups, or even when I think it was a suplex that he did onto the commentary table. It's like those little things like that I was like, I haven't seen you really do that, and I'm glad you did it because now it shows me more like you're being a heel in the ring as well. But yeah, I feel like Trick did a very good job with this too. It's like I also enjoyed having Carmelo running the when he did it, just like having that urgency to try to save Trick from being in the match itself. But either way, I love my Trick Mello and the Bron and how everything turned out. I just like you, I do hope it's just Carmelo winning at the end though.
And then the match ends with the Steiner recliner. I assume he's still using that name because they haven't said what he calls it yet. I'm going to go with Steiner recliner until they tell me otherwise. but he wins the match. He goes ahead and puts him back in the Steiner recliner. And that's when Mello comes running out. And Mello avoids a shot from Braun Breaker, runs off the ropes, and goes ahead and does a springboard. And he springboards right into an absolutely massive spear from Braun Breaker. Perfect timing on that spear. God, that looked bad. Bad in a good way. Like, it looked like it hurt like hell.
Yeah.
It looked great, but it looked like it hurt like hell. Yeah, everybody knows. Like every review show in the world will tell you, if you're in your hometown and you work for WWE, you might have a rough night ahead of you. Yeah. Unless, of course, your name's Bad Bunny, in which case, then you're guaranteed to win.
There you go.
But no, NXT this week, the pacing felt good at times. The match times and match pacing felt weird. The segments felt like they fit into where they were going to be. But again, I could have done without JBBJ versus Tank.
Mm-hmm.
Hank and Tank. I could have done without that match and given Gigi Dolan and Gigi Dolan and Tiffany Stratton another 5-10 minutes.
Ooh, he forgot about Tiffany.
Shh, don't tell her. It's otherwise, like I said, most of the matches kind of felt like they fit on the show. I just wish there would have been more. I wish we would have had the first round tonight and really kind of given it instead of having to wait it out. Because they're really dragging this out as we get to Battleground, and they don't really have enough time to drag it out on their way to Battleground. Yep. Because by the time we get to the final match in the show, we're going to, on the Tuesday night, we're going to make the match official for who's in the match, for the match that happens on Sunday. And I always hate when tournaments do that. I always hate that. Mm-hmm. It's something that I hate, and it's a me thing. But I just wish that you would sell the card ahead of time. We know who's going to be in it. We know roughly who's probably going to be in the match. So at least they've given us that much. But I just wish they would have gone a bit quicker with this tournament so that we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it would have been nice for the go home show to have that kind of interaction to really sell you on the match between the last two people. So I feel like that's something that they definitely should have done.
Do you have an issue with them potentially going heel versus heel in the final?
Not really. No, I don't mind if it's whatever combination they have. I really don't mind it. I feel like either way, it's the people that they picked are good choices moving forward. So as you already can, do the process of elimination on your final four, either way, it should be good.
Yeah, but I was going to say, because I was talking to a friend of mine who's going to the show with me, and I was talking about how I think it's going to be Tiffany versus Cora. And they were like, that's weird because it's heel versus heel, and WWE doesn't typically do that. And I'm like, no, they typically don't. But ever since Cora's come back, they've put her on screen every single time with either Lyra Valkyria or Tiffany Stratton.
Yep.
Every time Cora Jade's on camera, one of those two is involved in the segment. So that's one of the reasons why I feel comfortable going heel versus heel in that final. Because I think that you save Roxanne versus Cora Jade because you've not gotten back to that. And I feel like it would be a weird throwaway.
Yep.
And plus, you've built Tiffany Stratton all these months to... Theoretically, it seemed like the plan was to have her crowned in Los Angeles, but you changed your mind and went to Indy. And then Indy got hurt in the triple threat, and they were going to give it to Tiffany, and they changed their mind when Indy decided she was going to go back out and do it anyways. So it seems weird that you would then change again and just not... It almost feels Macklin-like, where it's like, just give the title to Steve Macklin. Do the thing you're supposed to do. The thing you've been trying to do for 6 months. Just do the damn thing. Just give Tiffany the belt.
I think the other thing that also makes it different, though, is even though, let's say, for example, we do have Cora and Tiffany, if you notice the crowd reaction towards Cora is more like people hate her versus with Tiffany, people have been enjoying her. So it almost, even though we know Tiffany's a heel, it won't feel like a heel versus heel at the pay-per-view itself.
Did they pipe in boos tonight for Tiffany Stratton? Because there was some pretty loud boos for her.
Yeah, I think they probably did because I usually don't hear boos like that for Tiffany. I heard them for Cora, even like from the get go with that promo that she did that we didn't like. So I feel like in that type of environment, you're gonna feel like there's gonna be more support towards Tiffany because, like you said, people have been waiting for that moment that she gets crowned champion. So people are gonna cheer for her versus they don't want Cora there yet. So you can tell it's gonna be like almost like a heel versus face kind of interaction from the audience, though.
Yeah. And that pretty much concludes our show. We're going to go ahead and give our plugs. Remember that you can find all things from Our Local Establishment at youtube.com/Our Local Establishment. Almost all of our shows end up there on a VOD, or there's a live section there that you can go check out any of our live content that's not video on demand there. You can also go ahead and go to Twitter and Instagram to find out when we're going to go live at Ol'Ed Podcast. You can find us on TikTok at something. I don't know what it is. I think it's Our Local Establishment. I don't know. I know it's linked on one of our on our video that we do with our weekly calendar. So if you go to our YouTube page, it'll be on the last part there. And of course, if you have any questions, concerns, you want to go ahead and try to reach out for a guest appearance or things like that. If you want to reach out to anybody for guest appearances on your shows, you can go ahead and email us at Our Local Establishment. It's olepodcast@gmail.com. That's the one. Yes. Sorry. And of course, you can find us, as most of you already know, because you're already here, twitch.tv/Our Local Establishment. Astrid, where can we find you?
For the rest of the week, next time you can find me on Thursday doing Making an Impact. I do have Parrish as my guest this week. And then, like we said earlier, Wednesday, 1 p.m., we have the mental health awareness special coming up. I think it'll be on both Twitch and YouTube, as Bobby said earlier. And then next week again, I'll be doing Taking Over with You, and my NXT review just go up on Women's Wrestling Talk on their website on the weekends.
You can find me on Twitter at EdFries12584. The Twitch is there at EdFries2002. At some point, some point,
sure.
Some point, content will be on my own personal Twitch channel. Sometimes I think I leave it in here just to irritate Astrid because it's fun. I'm sure you can catch me on Making an Impact at some point in the near future. I do often make guest appearances on the show. So I'm sure that I will be on there at some point in the very near future. Otherwise, you can go ahead and find me, like I said, right here every Tuesday night with my tag team partner, Astrid Pizarro. We just had our episode of Marvel Talk that aired on Sunday, reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So if you have seen the movie, feel free to go check that out on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks for the call out.
We always help you because we know that you love to watch, but you don't want to be spoiled for the movies. And if you haven't seen them, we don't want to spoil you. So if you have seen Guardians of the Galaxy, go check out Marvel Talk. And again, like I said, Wrestle Draft will not be live this Saturday night or Saturday afternoon like it normally is, but it'll be live tomorrow night following Dynamite. You can catch us right here on the Twitch. And we will be going ahead and doing our first premium live event, me versus Parrish, where I will obviously come out on top because, well, obviously, it's me. Otherwise, I think we're out for the night. We are going to be going ahead and rating the Dad Trainer. He's a wonderful friend of ours from the Heel Kevin community. So please go make sure that if you're here on Twitch that you go ahead and do that. But for Astrid Pizarro, for myself, I will see you guys next week. Goodbye!
Everyone is watching me when I'm gone.